Yo, my people, welcome back to the Grind and Ghost Podcast. I'm your host, AJ Banjo, and I'm joined by the one and only Umair.
Come on, I'm here. We're active.
We're active. We got this, bro. I can't lie, I've been excited for this episode. Like, this one, finally back in the podcast chair. And we've got a lot to talk about, man. A lot to talk
100%.
about. And I want to start off with, I'm going to let you take the lead because I know this is a topic that you wanted to cover.
Yeah. So,
and it's very relevant now.
yeah, so what I want to sort of dive into is it safe, first of all? And secondly, why does it keep happening? We've seen it time and time again where artists are out and about. For some reason, they don't have security on them, or even if they do have security on them, somehow they get caught lacking. And next thing you know, they've been killed. You saw it with X, you saw it with Pop Smoke, you've seen it now with Takeoff, even though he wasn't the reason, or he wasn't part of the altercation that happened. Happened with Draco the Ruler. It happened with countless artists, PNB Rock, and it's like a recurring theme almost. You're out and about. You don't have, or you're not expecting anything to happen. Your girl posts your location. Oh, I'm at this cute restaurant.
Yeah.
Boom. Next thing you know, you're gone. Because that's exactly what happened with Pop Smoke, and that's exactly what happened with PNB Rock.
Yeah.
Pop Smoke's, I think his brother or someone, posted the location of the Airbnb they were staying in, and PNB Rock's girlfriend posted the restaurant they were at.
Yeah.
And so I think that leads me into asking, how present should an artist be when they know that they come from that sort of background where people are going to be out there?
I think that's such a difficult question because at one point, it's the artist's responsibility to understand who they are, who is around them, and to make sure that they're safeguarded. I know there's some responsibility lies with the label because this is your artist, you got to take care of them. There've been a lot recently. There's been a big push in the industry to have mental health support for artists.
Yeah.
And that's because a lot of artists, have a lot of mental pressures and can lead to a lot of stuff when it comes to drug addiction or whatever. But I think if labels are benefiting from artists who have a certain lifestyle, are in the streets, talk about that in their music and the labels benefit from that, I think in the same vein they also have to protect the artists because again it's an investment.
But up to what extent? Because how can you protect when how can you foresee an artist's girlfriend posting on Instagram that they're at, I don't know, Shake Shack, and then ops pull up to Shake Shack. What are you meant to do? There's only so much you can do, and there's only so many preventative measures you can take.
I mean, I also think it's kind of the culture as well. We fucking love this shit until it's our favorite artist that's on the other side of it. We fucking love this shit. The baby blew up because of the shit that happened in Walmart. It was an unknown guy. We don't give a fuck about who he shot. But if it was the baby that died, there'll be fucking posts about, oh man, R.I.P.
Exactly.
Fucking it's the saddest shit. The craziest shit I saw was the BBC posting about Takeoff, and I'm like, the fucking BBC's posting, and I'm like, bro, they wouldn't play a full Takeoff verse because it doesn't align with BBC guidelines. But when he dies, it's
all of a sudden
we fucking care about exactly. This is such a crazy, but there's so many young artists who maybe don't have the same amount of fame that Takeoff did. That if they die, it's just another death. But I think it's the culture because that's it's literally what we fucking go for in the scene. But then when it's our favorite artist, that's when it's a little bit different. I think I don't think it was always like that. I think there's been a rise of needing to have that authenticity. But what is that authenticity? Bro, if you're an artist Takeoff in Amigos, you have enough. Bro, these guys are breaking into the mainstream.
Exactly.
There is no need for them to be claiming that. There's no need for them to be on that. You didn't break. And if you're an artist, you should really think about, are you breaking into the industry to be the fucking hardest nigga out there, or you breaking because of the music, because of your talent?
Exactly.
And if that's the case, a guy like fucking The Weeknd, he started off very, all he talked about was sex, drugs, even though he still does, but once he broke into the mainstream, his whole image, the way he moved, elevated with that. And I think maybe that's because he's in more mainstream like pop scene.
Yeah.
But I think rap is the new mainstream now, and they need to like encourage artists to move in that way and not think, oh, you're selling out, or oh no, you've forgotten about where you came from, bro. You started rapping.
I think the whole purpose of it is to get out from where you came from. Like a lot of people pursue music in order to make it out the hood.
Yeah.
Even in UK and the US, it's the same.
Yeah.
You say, oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do this so that I don't have to live a life like this anymore. And then what happens is it comes full circle. You break out of the hood, you come out, you start doing well as a rapper. You hit you're selling singles, you're going on tour, etc. You're living the life.
Yeah.
And then you go full circle and you go back to the streets to prove that, oh yeah, I'm still about it.
I think it goes back to the notion of sustainability and for an artist, because that shit sells, you know, like, okay, boom, you know, you're hood artist, you talk about this lifestyle, that shit goes off. You know, start dissing another rapper, that shit goes off. It's like, alright, cool. My streams went up, my whatever went up. But then you die at 27, exactly. You die at 25. Like, okay, cool, you did all of that, but that shit doesn't carry over to your grave.
Yeah.
Like, that shit doesn't carry over to your grave. Like, would you rather hone it back, you know, I'm not going to be on that wave anymore, and then live to, like, really get that generational wealth now? Like, really get into that bag where, like, your music is, you know, one of them things that, like, outlives you.
Like what Jay-Z did.
Exactly.
Jay-Z came from rapping about stuff on the streets to then progressing out of it.
Yeah.
Maturing, and then going on to build a billion, well, a net worth of over $1 billion.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's what any or many, not every single rapper, but a lot of rappers don't look at it like that. They just see it as, I'm going to get the bag, and I'm going to spend the bag, and then I'm just going to make another bag and spend it. And it's just a cycle.
But what is that bag, man?
Exactly. Like, then you see even the UK scene, rappers like Digga D, Unknown T, who are literally confessing to crimes when they don't need to. Cool, you're on road. I don't know anything about that life. But what I am trying to say is, you don't need to be exposing yourself, because you're putting yourself in a situation where you're just going to end up back to where you started from. You take 2 steps forward, 3 steps back.
I don't want to, like, just put it on the artist, like, oh, you know, you need to get your shit together or whatever, because also artists are, like, rapping about the shit that they've lived, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's the reality, and that's their artwork. And I really want to take time to, like, appreciate that. But I think this is such a difficult thing, because, like, at the end of the day, I don't want to criticize someone who's died, you know, like, they didn't wish for that.
Yeah, of course.
But, yeah, I think the landscape in which, like, we operate, like, you can talk about the shit that you're on and not necessarily have to, like, live that anymore, you know? I think, like, in our scene, I look at artists that are starting to break out of that realm. Okay, if you could take a bigger example of someone like Stormzy, who, you know, has this beef with Chip, but then decides to hold back and moves into something that I think personally is way bigger than anything that, you know, the hype of. I remember when Stormzy came back with that track, I had friends of mine talking about, Stormzy's a pussy, man, he should have beefed Chip, like, he should have said something even more. I'm like, bro, you don't even realize what this guy just did. This guy is now, like, an icon in this scene. Like, he's stepping into a path that a lot of artists who are on drill or on whatever are never going to reach, because he's breaking into a level that's beyond even what Chip, I'm going to be real, like, where Chip is currently at. He's moving into big bread. Yeah. Big bread.
Yeah.
Commercial, yeah. But I'm doing it in a way that, bro, there's no way he can get all of those people to jump in a video if he's not respected. So who gives a fuck about what some people online are going to say? Bro, I had people talking about, I was in a Reddit chat and Redditors are talking about how Stormzy should. If you're on Reddit, who gives a fuck what you have to say? I don't give a fuck. Who gives a fuck what you have to say? Like, bro, who cares? Like, because these guys don't understand. Like, if Stormzy beats Chip, they don't recognize that. Stormzy beats Chip. It's not just diss tracks, and it's not just Stormzy beefing Chip. Everyone that Chip's around is now beefing everyone Stormzy's about. It's one of Stormzy's guys who's like in fucking barking links, sees a guy from Chip's crew in random ends.
Beef,
that's when beef starts, and it's always the young G's, you know, so it's like, it's bigger than that. So I think Stormzy did the right thing, and I think a lot of artists need to take that experience, because, bro, like, at the end of the day, like, if you don't like someone, just be better than them. I think that's a better way than a fucking.
I think that's the mentality. that needs to be adopted. But how long it will take to adopt that mentality in the industry, I don't know.
I mean,
I don't think it will, to be honest.
I hope that, like these deaths that are occurring can be like a bit of a wake up call, because like if you're a rapper right now and you're seeing all of this, it's like, do I really want cause cool, Takeoff is gonna fucking trend for the next week or so, but then it's gonna go away, and then it's.
There's rappers who get lucky, like Lil TJ, he got shot.
Yeah.
But he survived. So, yeah.
Yeah, but exactly, but that shit moves on.
Exactly.
Like, as a culture, we move on. Like, you don't want your life to be a fucking 1 week Twitter hashtag and then it all goes away. The sympathy that everyone's feeling right now is gonna die down, and it's like, is that what you want to be remembered as, or do you want to be remembered like, bro, like in this industry there are rappers and there are artists that are gonna go down, huge legacy and the impact that they've had in in their time. Not every artist is gonna do that, but I think thinking ahead and like, you're enjoying the riches now, like live and experience it. And I just hope that the industry as a whole, like from a label standpoint, I hope they recognize it. They did a big push for mental health. I hope they do a big push for artists when they come from these type of backgrounds, giving them an opportunity to break away from that, giving them the support to break away from that, because like a lot of rappers, you think they have a lot of money, but they really don't. They're fucking in debt to the label.
Yeah,
like it ain't all that. Like if an artist
it's
posts,
an act. A lot of it is an image.
If an artist posts, racks, just know that's promo money. That's not their fucking, I went into my bank account and got money. No, that's promo money that they again have to pay back to the label. So it's not real. So give them the financial support when they don't feel like, because an artist could be posting that and be in his mind, he's posting, I got racks, but in his mind he knows this is not my money. This is going back to the label. I need to figure out how I'm going to get my own money. I'm definitely not making it. My streams are not doing enough. The income that I make from streams is not enough. I'm a fucking thug artist, so big concert halls are not going to hire me, so I can't make money off tours. So I got to go back to the streets. You know what I mean? I'm talking about sustainability. Like if you're fucking in that lifestyle, a booking agent isn't going to book you to do tours if he thinks it's going to be a threat. Like it's not gonna work. I
mean, once you get to a certain level, it's not really a problem. But
once you get to a certain level, but it's still like
you're coming up.
But there's certain doors, like bro, there's certain doors that you won't be able to open because of the shit that you're on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, cool. There might be some that you can, but it's like, don't you want all the opportunity you can get?
Exactly.
Don't you want all of it?
That's why you should leave all of it behind. Yeah. Once you find like a sliver of a chance of making it out, like they say.
That's the goal, man. That's the goal. One thing I want to touch on as well with like the artist deaths is I want to know your thoughts, because this is something that's been on my mind recently, is the post-death album.
Oh,
and
that's a tricky one.
The push for like more releases after an artist dies. Like I want to know your thoughts, because
for me it's like a multi-answer question, because on the one side, your fans, like let's say I'm an artist. Okay?
Yeah.
If I've made music that's ready to be released, for example, I have an album finished and I died the next day, but that was in the works of getting released, I would want it to be released.
Yeah.
And as an artist, I would want to hear that. But when it comes to something like Juice WRLD, where he's got like 15 seconds of a song, you slap 4 features on it, and you repeat his like 15 seconds 4 times, make it a hook, I don't necessarily agree with that, because at that point you're just milking a situation, and
I think it's just gross. Like it's just like the first time that I really got on that wave of like really understanding it was with X.
Yeah.
Like you said, you get 5-second vocal, loop it, get a crazy feature, and it's like, bro, what are we doing? And it's like, I want to know how much, because like even if the families are being paid, they're not being paid the full amount.
Mm-hmm.
The label's still gonna make the majority of that. This labels are still gonna, regardless of how much the families could get out of it, they're not getting
the clauses that are in the contract still keeps the ownership to the label rather than like the person who died.
The family, if the artist didn't get the majority of how much, the family is definitely not getting the majority. They're probably getting even less. It's just extremely, in my view, extremely fucked up. But the reason why I brought it up is because I want it to link into another conversation. We've got artists who are dead and being brought back through their music, but we have artists who are not dead but just old, and their youth is being brought back through holograms, and one of the biggest tours out right now is the ABBA tour. It's been running like almost all year. Like I've seen ads for it like running all year. A legacy act. All the acts are alive, but they're not involved in the tour in terms of performing, but their holograms are. I want to know your thoughts on that trajectory in the music industry, and whether, to be honest, I look at it and I'm like, if you're in the industry right now, this needs to be one of the biggest case studies you do to see where the industry is headed. Because if you have a legacy act like that who's able to do a tour, and a new emergent acts, even big acts are breaking into the mainstream like Little Sims, having to cancel tours because they can't afford it, or because of the current climate when it comes to touring is fucked for newer acts. But these legacy acts are making it through. If you're an industry man, if you're in the industry, you got to look like this is the future.
Yeah.
And I just want to know your thoughts on what that means for artists.
I feel like, for me, it's gonna fade away. I think it's more of a gimmick. I think the whole reason ABBA's holographic tour did so well was because of the fact that it's holographic, and not because of the fact that it's ABBA. That could have, I think
that.
it played more of a part seeing that they returned,
Yeah.
rather than the fact that, like, let me put it like this: the fact that they've done tours before, obviously they broke up ages ago.
Yeah.
I feel like those tours
Yeah.
would have or have probably done much more well than this holographic tour. And I feel like because this holographic tour is the first of its kind, that played a massive part in its sort of success. But moving forward, will people still feel the same connection? Because the part of the whole reason of going to see an artist live is for that person-to-person, experiencing it live, you know, in the crowd, seeing your favorite artist perform in front of you. That's why people go front row.
Yeah.
But if I'm front row, I can clearly tell the holograph. It's holographic.
Yeah.
Right? Cool. If I'm sitting in the back of a 60,000 person stadium, it looks like they're there. But for the core spine of followers of an artist group like ABBA, even I think there's something with Tupac a few years ago at Coachella with holographic. I think it's more of a gimmick. I think it's more of like, oh yeah, he's holographic. Will it sustain 5, 10, 15, 20 years and be the new standard? I don't think so. Personally, I don't think it's going to stick around.
I think, to be honest, I think that this is definitely something that the industry is going to take further because of the success of this tour. When you talk about like the technology and how like you can see that it's I've showed people the ad for this tour, and I've had people tell me that, and I tell them at the end, oh, you know that those aren't real people. They're like, seriously?
Yeah.
And that, like, technology doesn't work backwards. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get more realistic. Like,
True.
That's how it, that's how it works, And to me, like, okay, it's kind of like what we talked about off air. It's like legacy acts. Legacy acts are the ones who pack out stadiums most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Queen, the Rolling Stones. These are the ABBA. If ABBA were to go on tour, they're doing stadiums. Like,
of course.
These are like legacy acts. You got to understand, like, for rappers are a younger demographic.
But you have to take into account the amount of time they've been in the game for. Rappers,
rappers
have been around for 10, 15 years.
Yeah,
max.
but they're also rappers, who have been in the game for a long, long time who are not doing stadiums. There's difference, but it's about, if you're being able to cross over into the mainstream. Like someone like Eminem, he's doing stadiums because of how long he's been in the game for. And if Eminem were to die and they were to do a holographic tour, best believe they could do a holographic tour of Eminem from like one tour focus on one album, next tour focus on the next album, and that will sell out every single time because of the type of his fans. If Taylor Swift did the same thing, every single time it's going to sell out. And I think for me, what that shows is more than just where the industry is headed, is the leverage that the artist has when it comes to their fans. And the acts that are able to do that aren't, necessarily like ABBA and all of that aren't on TikTok, aren't on crazy on socials, but they have cultivated.
But you have to look at the demographic, right? The people that were consuming ABBA music were taking in their music way before even fucking smartphones existed. Back when it was vinyl, back when it was physical CDs, like back then DVDs and CDs were revolutionary. Right now it's like ancient. And so for it to translate across to them being legacy acts, as we want to call it,
Yeah.
the only reason that they're sort of selling out these stadiums is two reasons. First of all, going to a stadium tour is much more accessible than going to like a Brixton or a Shoreditch or a an Islington where you're packed out in standing crowd.
Yeah.
Because the audience is a lot older.
Yeah.
It's 60-year-olds, 50-year-olds, late 40s that are going to this ABBA holographic concert. First of all, second of all, the tickets are super expensive because it's holographic, and the only people that can afford them, the majority, is the older audience. So that also contributes to ABBA's success.
Yeah.
But when that demographic eventually dies out, will they still be a successful legacy act? I don't know, because by the time we're in our 40s, I sure as hell am not going to attend an ABBA concert.
Yeah.
I'm not paying money. I'll probably see on TV.
Okay, when you're in your 40s, are you going to go see, a Drake concert?
Of course.
Because Drake would be a legacy act.
He will be the
legacy act. Okay, cool. Right now, like you're saying ABBA's old or whatever, but people who are packing out stadiums are legacy or established artists.
Yes.
I was looking at articles and the rate in which the industry is breaking new stars has decreased from exponentially.
Yeah.
And it's decreasing every year. And this is in the age of social media. This is in the age of, virality. So how come we're not producing stars anymore?
It's because
we have acts now that have millions of followers who aren't breaking that mold. So why is that?
It's because of attention span. That's all it is.
You think it's attention? Okay. You're saying it's attention span.
In order for you to be a successful artist, right?
Yeah.
What? Okay, let's lay out the criteria.
Yeah.
First of all, you have to be able to put out a body of work that people are going to listen to.
Yeah.
Right. Second of all, you have to cultivate a community of fans that are willing to follow you no matter what you drop.
Yeah.
Right. And thirdly, you have to be consistent.
Yeah.
So let's look at a new artist, for example.
Yeah.
Someone that just blew off TikTok. Let's just call him Road.
Yeah.
Okay. Road dropped a song that did, I don't know, 100 million streams on Spotify because a 15-second snippet blew up.
Yeah.
He then drops another song and it does 1 million streams.
Yeah.
Is that consistent? No.
Yeah.
Okay. Second thing, does he have a fan base based off one song? No.
Yeah.
So he hasn't done the groundwork.
Yeah.
Thirdly, has he dropped a consistent body of work that people are listening to? No, because he's only dropped 2 singles.
Yeah.
So if he's not meeting the foundational criteria of you being a star, like a Weeknd, like a Drake, like an A$AP Rocky even.
Yeah.
Of course, the rate at which stars are being produced is gonna exponentially slow down, and it's because of a shift in attention span. People aren't listening to albums. Even me, I'm someone who's into music. If an album is longer than 10, 12, 13 songs, I'm listening to it in bits. I'm doing 10 songs and then 10 songs, or I'll just listen to bits and bobs of it.
Yeah.
And it's not a conscious thing.
Yeah.
It's more of a thing of how as a people we're influenced by everything around us.
Yeah.
From fast fashion to fast food to fast music to everything and anything. It's on your fingertips. Uber, call a taxi there.
There's so many interesting things that you brought up there. For one, there's a quote that I remember seeing a while ago. It's either a producer or you're a consumer.
Mm-hmm.
And we're living in an age where more and more are becoming consumers. And not only are we becoming consumers, we're becoming passive consumers. We are allowing these companies, whether that be TikTok, whether that be whatever, to decrease our attention span. It isn't a thing that we're voluntarily just saying, I want my attention span to decrease. It's being put upon us. And okay, cool. You talked about that. So if you can recognize that people's attention span are decreasing, stars are decreasing year by year, what do you see for the future then? If that's the sign and that's the pattern that we're leading into today.
Yeah. I don't think there will be stars.
I think there will be stars.
I think in 5-10 years from now, it will be a 15-minute of fame for every person. It will just be a
fame. Like Andy Warhol said.
I think it's just going to be, all right, cool. He's popping one song from him. All right, now he's popping one song from him. Now he's popping one song from him. Now she's popping one song from her. It's just going to be a bunch of nobodies dropping big songs because we're consuming.
So then if you're an artist and you're telling an artist that, look, if you start making music today, in 5-10 years, let's say that trajectory is where we're going to be headed, then this industry isn't sustainable. There isn't a career here.
I wouldn't say it's not sustainable because that's not the only avenue. You can still do stuff like Sync, where you're making major money.
But Sync, primarily is through legacy like tracks. It isn't.
I don't know about that.
It is like it is.
There's so many obscure, random producers even.
Yeah,
that get fake placements.
I understand that, but that's still not the majority. I'm talking about the majority.
For now, yes, but moving into the future, 5-10 years.
But
from
if we're looking at the industry, if we're looking at the industry, and we already see signs of lack of stars, signs of less acts being, put out, what makes you say that Sync is gonna do the opposite of what everything else is doing?
Because that's where everybody else is gonna go to. When you're struggling to go through one avenue, you try a different one. And I feel like all these artists that are struggling to make a career out of being performers, will then look to see, okay, what else can I do? Can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do that? Okay, Sync, that's still very similar to what I'm doing, and there's money in that. Let me go over there. And there's going to be a mass migration of people going.
But then won't the same shit happen
15-10 years down the line? By then,
exactly. So there's nothing sustainable. But it's like we're jumping onto.
But isn't that every industry?
What's next?
That's every industry ever. Nothing has stayed the same for 100 years.
Exactly, and that's where right now we're living in the pop of the bubble of every industry. That's why we're heading into recession. That's why and I think this is an opportunity. And the reason why I bring it up, and I'm like, I don't want to just be like, oh, there's no hope or whatever. I think the reason why I bring it up is it's time for artists, it's time for labels, it's time for just us as consumers to redefine what an artist's career should look like, redefine the industry. This is the time to do it before, or we let it just go down a cycle in which it becomes unsustainable.
But what is redefinition? What? How would you redefine it? Because in order for a redefinition to happen, right, you'd have to fundamentally change consumption as a consumer, not just for music, but for everything. That means no having food on demand, no having, taxis on demand, no fast fashion. It's a fundamental change in the way you consume, period. And that is a much, much, much bigger situation than just music. So for you to change an industry that's been going up for over 200 years almost. Or 150 years. How realistic that is, I don't know.
I think it's very realistic in the sense that if that's what's needed to keep things going in a productive manner, then it's gonna be forced that things are gonna have to change. You talk about a disruptor like TikTok or Spotify, they changed the industry. They were disruptors in the industry. You talk about an Uber. It's funny. Uber was built in the recession. In these moments of chaos, in these moments of not being sure of where things are headed, that's when new industry comes and takes over. That's when there is a revitalization. And I think if people are having conversations like this and understanding that, okay, maybe we shouldn't be just so reliant on these institutions. We shouldn't be so reliant on the facade of followers, the facade of streaming numbers, and actually create a system that is more sustainable. Then that's where the appetite for a consumer can be changed. If a consumer can be changed in 1 year, or let's just say 3 years, that TikTok was able to do it, it can be changed. Like that.
It wasn't solely TikTok. There was a bunch of stuff before it, and TikTok just accelerated it even more. Uber has been around for 12 years. Deliveroo's been around for 7-8 years. There's been stuff that's on demand. Fast fashion has been going since, I don't know, the early 2000s. All of that was micro feeding into people's dopamine hits being instant. Like Netflix came and started doing their own original series every fucking month. There's stuff where before, if you wanted to watch a TV show, you'd have to wait for the next episode every week. I'd have to come at 7 o'clock and watch the show.
But these institutions that you're talking about, they aren't like this, behemoths that are untouchable. They are facing the crunch right now. They were seen as untouchable, but Netflix is struggling, Uber is struggling, the fast fashion industry is struggling based on changing consumer habits. Consumers are more, environmentally conscious. Consumers are going, wasn't it Love Island that partnered with eBay to have all the contestants wear sustainably sourced clothing? And that's one of the biggest cultural shows, in the UK. and the reason why they're able to do that, or why that's a success, is because they are aware of the change in consumers, changing in the way people who want to consume music and want to consume fashion. So I think when you ask me, oh, is this possible? Is there possible for this radical change? It's happening. That increment that you're saying about the 12 years, it's happening today for sustainability.
But there's so many hands in the pie. There's so many parties that would have to be on board, because it's not like every single industry, every single company isn't is not benefiting from the increase in what's it called, or the decrease in attention span. Some companies are thriving off of it.
Yeah.
Right. Arguably, although it's hard for Netflix to keep up, that's probably where they got their massive boost from. Is fast-paced television.
Yeah, but
same thing with TikTok. Like, they're the ones that created it, and it's benefiting them. So it's going to be ultimately 18, 20, 35, 40 different parties arguing.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we don't want to change it. Oh, yeah, we should change it. Oh,
okay,
no, we
I
shouldn't
understand
change
that. Like you said TikTok isn't it's an accelerant of an established industry.
Yeah.
If you look at Facebook was experiencing exponential growth every single year.
Mm-hmm.
Now it starts to plateau and decrease.
Yeah.
So if that's not a sign of where that industry is headed, I don't know what is. When it comes to Netflix, same thing. They experienced exponential growth when it came to subscribers.
Yeah.
That has plateaued and decreased, and that's why they changed their formula. They're creating their whole premise was ad free. Like you said, you'd watch something and it'll be released like instantly.
Yeah.
Their catalog has been decreased. More shows are going back to, they have more competition. They came at a time where there was no competition. Now there's so much competition. Yeah. So their revenue has decreased. There's so many streaming services that started last year that didn't even last a whole year. Based on this hype of, we need to jump on a Netflix wave, and didn't even make it through a year. CNN in America tried to open a streaming service, didn't even last. So if that's not an indicator of that industry, I don't know what is.
I mean,
and I want to
indicate of the industry in how so, like what? So
that isn't the future. It isn't. Big CEOs banked on that being the future, tried it, but it failed.
But it was the future.
It was past tense.
No,
but shit moves on. Like you said, shit moves on. Yeah,
and that brings me on to my point: is industries always evolve, and you can't dwell on we're going downhill, because what's going to happen?
But then,
realistically,
what I'm saying isn't a regression. Is evolving past. I don't think.
How is it evolving if it's going downhill?
Streaming is and that avenue is going downhill. My evolution, when I talk about evolution, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about evolution past that into a path that is more sustainable, into a sustainable landscape. Because if we continue through the streaming landscape, if we continue to this mass consumption of things, we will end up like all of these companies that came before that got big off a hype, got big off of an initial push, and then plateaued. And if the industry doesn't change, and the reason why I say
which it will,
exactly, and the reason why I believe it will is because I'm not talking to I'm not taking this opinion based on what I see trending on Twitter or what I see trending. No, I'm looking at what are the industry heads saying.
Yeah.
Not just workers, the heads of Sony, the heads of Universal, the heads of Warner. And they're saying the same thing. They're saying that this path isn't sustainable. Mm-hmm. They're looking at Spotify and recognizing Spotify has increased the amount of people who they hit. I think it was 100 million tracks on Spotify, with 100,000 new tracks playlisted put on Spotify every single day. The head of Universal talked about how this is diluting the market. This is creating, it's changing Spotify from a place for artists to a place for hobbyists. Most of the people who are jumping on Spotify have less than one follower. So a lot of music is being played and reaching no one. That's what the heads are thinking, and they're trying to think about what's next. Mm-hmm. So that's the conversation I'm trying to have. And if you're a new artist, I think this is a conversation you need to have with yourself, with your team. Are we gonna jump into this game with the belief that we need to fucking blow up on TikTok, we need to fucking get our streaming numbers, or are we going to look past this and think about what's happening 10, 20 years from now, in the same way the majors are doing it, and think about maybe it's time that we focus on building the community, focus on building. Look, if Spotify dies, if TikTok dies, if Warner, all of these major labels dies, can I still survive? Taylor Swift can still survive because she has a fan base that no matter what will buy her stuff because she built a community around it. She broke Spotify because of all of fans jumping on it. If Spotify died, she can put all her music on her website, have a charge to jump on it, and she can make money because she's built a community.
Yeah.
Newer artists, can you do the same thing? If Spotify isn't there anymore, can you do the same thing? If TikTok isn't there anymore, can you build a community without it?
That is definitely something artists need to be doing.
Yeah.
But it all comes back down to the same thing of.
Do you want to be a follower or do you want to be a fucking leader in this thing?
Exactly.
Do you want to be a follower or a leader? Do you want to be like, oh shit, the industry changed, now I'm broke, now the labels dropped me? Or do you want to say, no, I saw this, my team prepared for this, my team, able to weather the storm, my team are able to fucking see past.
But that's only going to be a small 0.1%.
I mean, that's how the industry is. That's how the industry is right now. Only 0.1% are really benefiting and making money off streams. It's really mainly the top artists. It's mainly the Drakes that are making money off streams. It's the top 1%. So nothing changes. It's not changing. It's just changing the landscape.
Yeah.
And right now, if you're a new artist, if you're right with that, if you're a new artist, I want to be a part of that 1%. I want to be part of that in a new wave, in a new era. So I'm going to do the groundwork now, today.
But you don't know what's coming. And that's what's scary. Because people only gravitate to what they know. People know Spotify exists. People know TikTok exists. That's why they're like, okay, cool. Here's what I can formulate for me to pop based off that.
Do you know what
How am I going to, as an artist?
Do you know what I know? I know the concept of a producer and a consumer. I know that if I can get 500 people, to buy something that I am selling, I can make a profit. That basic concept is enough for an artist to look at what's ahead without really understanding or relying on where the industry is headed. If I can cultivate an audience, anything can happen to the industry. My audience will stay with me. My audience will pivot.
And that's probably why a lot of artists are going independent now.
Yeah, facts.
That's exactly the reason. So you see artists like fucking Tory Lanez, huge independent. Russ, huge independent.
Do you see Russ doing a fucking show in India?
Exactly.
Bro, artists can be so small-minded in what they think is possible. Russ isn't big in terms of every single person knows him, but his fans are fucking die hard. His fans know him, and that's all you need to care about. Fuck socials, fuck all of that. 100%. Fuck the initial bag that label gives you. Cultivate an audience so you can survive this shit by yourself, man. 100%. Because you cannot be reliant on these industries, because at the end of the day they will drop you. At the end of the day, look, if Sony is like, alright, we're heading into a hard recession, we're gonna have to cut some of our staff. Yeah, you best believe that's a bunch of the new artists. They're getting dropped. Boom. It's hard times. We're gonna drop 50% cut of all these smaller artists who are not making that much money. They're gone.
Yeah, 100%.
They're gone. You're not doing tours like Adele's gonna do. So fuck that. We don't need you anymore. Bro, I think we could go on and on about this topic. But I really wanted to get this off because this platform was made for young artists, was made to give them an idea. And I think not a lot of the people in the industry are really talking about it, especially for young people. They're not talking about it. If you're a young person and you're listening to this, really think about all this shit that we said today. So, I've been AJ.
I've been Umair.
It's the Ghost Podcast. It's a place to learn, man. A place for gems.